Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Kath Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with our friend Karina Birch. Karina was born in Edmonton, Alberta. I love that city. She also has 3 kids who are fiercely independent. They're a mountain family that loves skiing, climbing, hiking, and biking. Their kitchen is their gathering place, and it's the center of their house. Isn't it in all of ours? Isn't that interesting how that works? Besides Karina's loved ones, she is passionate about being a maker and creator, building a company, a family, or in the wild, foraging for tea. She has a burning desire to accomplish and build great things. And friends, she's certainly done that. You will find her full bio attached. Karina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad you're here. I'm looking forward to learning what you have to say. Are you ready for the first question that we sent you?
Yes.
Excellent. So, why do you do what you do? I'm really curious.
Well, you touched on this a little bit, so I'm going to expand. Is this sense of creating momentum, progress, building? I'm so fueled by, vision. When things are clear to me and I see a picture in my mind, then I want to create. And most often that applies to the business, and hence why I end up, spending the majority of my time in the R&D product development side of things.
Oh, very cool. I don't know if I've mentioned, but my favorite soap is the Everyday Hero.
Yeah, that's when we developed. I guess I was going to say last year. I feel like because of COVID, I've lost it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great product, and it's from your perspective, just feels like a jar of like a tube of shower gel. Not just, but it is a beautiful shower gel. But we spend sometimes 12 to 18 months going deep into every product that we bring to the stores, and it's just an incredible journey. I love that part of the business.
I'm sure you do, and we love that you do it. What about your top 3 things that you want to share with us today?
Well, I thought I want to share with you, first of all, a business learning that I had this last year at the start of COVID, because we were one of the 50% of businesses that saw growth this year. And, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on that, and it was not by accident. Of course, being in the soap industry and selling hand sanitizer was being in the right place at the right time, but our ability as an organization to respond to such massive challenge and uncertainty, I'm so proud of what we did. And it was really a matter of, some decisions we put in place over the last 3 or 4 years that helped us to be able to respond to this massively changing dynamic we saw over the last 12 months. One of the things that we had was we allow ourselves to play in our R&D lab, and we allow ourselves to go down these rabbit holes. So a couple of years ago, we had started a project with the University of Alberta to study a mushroom extract called Keto-san, which we realized was very hydrating. We said, well, hand sanitizers are typically drying. Why don't we try it in there? And we loved it. It just came together very quickly. We started to make it for friends and family, and then it never went anywhere because we couldn't build a business case for the fact that who uses hand sanitizer every day, and we're very focused on products that our customers use every day. So we just put it on the shelf, and it was something we used personally but never launched. And then obviously when COVID came, well, the rest is history, right? We took that product off the shelf and very quickly had it approved by Health Canada, and were able to launch it within a matter of 3 weeks. But the idea being that when an urgent situation appears in your life, my learning was it's not, your ability to get through that is everything you've done up until that point. And I mean from a business perspective, but also a personal perspective. And, because I think I've exhausted myself over 21 years of having the business. There was a point where I really started to get sick, and I think I was having panic attacks, and I just wore myself out. I never want to do that again. So I think I've learned how to maintain my energy levels and take care of myself. I take that very seriously. So that was the other part of, success through COVID was, I had this cushion of resilience going into it. And I had these habits that benefited me to kind of stay calm. I think that was a huge benefit. So that was the first one, the idea that, thinking about, we never know when the next kind of urgent crisis is coming, and it's more what we do, before it happens that impacts our ability to move through it.
Well done. I didn't know that story. That is wonderful. And inside of 3 weeks, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was definitely a record for us. Like I said, an average new product for us is at least 18 months
Yeah.
to launch. So
Wow, that's amazing. Way to go, Karina.
thank you.
Anything else you want to share in there?
Yeah, and then there's two other things. One is I really something I'm passionate about is wild foraging. And don't tune out right now, because I know wild foraging sounds like, maybe something for people on the fringe, living on a farm. But I'm going to call it now. I think wild foraging is going to become something we're all interested in, because it's this, especially over these last, 12 months, there's been a deeper connection to nature. And, for many years, I've been staring at the crack in my driveway and these little plants that come up in the spring and stay all summer. And a couple of years ago, I realized that that's actually wild chamomile, or common name is pineapple weed. And my kids taught me that through this forest class that they did. And it started this journey of really paying attention to what's around us in our natural environment, and these plants, that dandelions, wild chamomile, that are growing in our yards that we're often overlooked or we're trying to get rid of, that have amazing properties. And I want to share with you this fun fact that wild plants are 350 million years old.
Wow.
100 million years older than humans.
Wow.
When you think about that idea, that they survived longer than we have by 100 million years, they have unparalleled survival techniques. And some of these wild species that grow in Alberta, like horsetail, were some of the early, I guess we must have carbon dated them, some of the earliest plants. Now they're much smaller than they used to be hundreds of millions of years ago. So they've evolved, but they're still here. And so this is my personal passion. I'm starting to bring that into my business as well. It's just this idea of, these wild plants that we have lots of traditional knowledge around, Indigenous communities or Chinese healers. There's lots of kind of traditional healing knowledge about these wild plants, but very little on kind of modern science research. And so, that's one of my new passions, is starting to take that traditional knowledge and apply some of the science that we can do in the lab to truly get to know and build a relationship with these plants. And then the idea of sustainable foraging. And, we spent a lot of time in the forest over the last year, and just to go out and pick a few wild plants and make a tea or a salve is just really feeds my creative energy. So I'm very passionate about spreading the word of wild plants and their amazing properties. I get very excited about it.
That's obvious. That's awesome. Is there an expert out there that has been focused on this? Is there a scientist is there someone in our hood in Calgary, Canmore area that only focuses on wildflowers, anything like plants and stuff? Do you know?
It's very fragmented. It's a very fragmented, let's say, art and science. So there's lots of people doing their version of it, but there's not like kind of a one source of truth. Some of I would tell you there's a number of universities in Alberta and across Canada starting to look at these over the last few years. There's a botanist there's a number of individuals in Calgary that I've been in touch with either through the Light Cellar at Calgary. There's a native plant nursery in Calgary. And then I've been connecting with some of the wild foragers on the West Coast, but very fragmented. It's almost like a bit of a treasure hunt to build a network of people passionate about this.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. And then the third thing is this idea, I don't know about you, but definitely I think right now we have to start talking about and thinking about quality of life, because there's been so many restrictions placed on us, and we can't forget that in light of all of that, like, how are we building quality of life in right now, right? Not waiting for life to get back to normal or the restrictions to ease, or the Hawaii destination to be back in the calendar. This idea of how are we building quality of life with what we have. And it's, for me, it's an important discussion, because obviously mental health, happiness, joy, connection, all these things have changed for us. The habits and the rhythms we had, pre-COVID have all changed. And, for me, that's been a big part of my journey this last year is building that. So when the restrictions became more severe, then it was always like, well, what can we do? And for us, obviously being in Canmore and we have access to the mountains, has given us a lot of opportunities to do things we just never had time for. If we were running kids to activities, now we have our weekends free to go and explore with them. So this idea of spending time in the forest, figuring out how to connect with our friends and our family in different ways. Food has become a more important part of our life. We have more time to cook and eat together. And so really focusing on these simple things and this idea of quality of life, I wanted to share that as well, because I think that's, a great narrative to attach to where we're at right now.
Great. A lot of surrendering going on.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And the last piece, with the opportunity or new frontier that you see in our future.
The opportunity for 2021 is, for me, this idea that we have to, I want to take that as a business question. And it's this idea of, where are we going to focus on being good? Where are we going to build capabilities that go back to the basics of retail and product? And at the end of the day, it is ultimately delighting customers. And, growth is not going to be a given. It's not going to be easy. And this idea that at the end of everything, it's the customer's willingness to take $1 out of their wallet and exchange it for product. And so the opportunity for growth and for building a sustainable business is there. Building true value for the customer and simplifying it. And, for us, our business model has changed dramatically. We went from our online business being 18% of our revenue, and this year it's 40%.
Wow.
So we've been, thinking about how to apply that thinking, putting value at the center of that growth strategy, looking forward, and how that's going to, cause some changes for us. And, this sense of kind of moving through the next year with a sense of empowerment, of what we can control. And we can certainly look at, building value for customers and keeping it that simple.
I love it. Very cool, Karina. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us, and encouraging us as well. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you for inviting me, and it was lovely to meet you, and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I did too. Thank you, Karina. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Everyone, that was Karina Birch. Thank you so much for joining us on Cat's Track, and we will see you again next time. Have a great day.